Hello everyone, this is Ross Wozniak with Telerik, and in this video we're going to take a look at how we can use an item template selector to determine how our nodes will look in a RAD tree view. So I'm going to show this in the context of an application that I've developed in Silverlight 4 called Taskit. So the first thing we'll do is take a look at the user interface, so I'll click into the task page, and then we'll take a look at some code. So here you can see that we have the RAD tree view on the left-hand side of the screen. So we've got a categories node and we've got a series of nodes underneath it, each of which have a different icon. These are the different categories that you can put your tasks into. And then we've got a projects node. This lists all the projects in the database. And then the same with contexts and contacts. So the item template selector is going to allow us to determine what each node will look like visually. So now let's flip over to Visual Studio. In our last video we talked about how to obtain data for the RAD tree view using WCF RIA services. And you can see here my item source from my RAD tree view is TreeView data. And just to do a quick review of what that data looks like, we've got a list of objects that are going to be bound to our RAD tree view. And these objects, we've got a mixture of nodes that we create here in the user interface and some nodes that actually come from WCF RIA services. So these four nodes here, the categories TreeView node, projects TreeView node, and so forth, these are the four top level nodes, and these we're actually creating here in code. So you can see that we can assign a name, an image, and a collection of children that will be the child nodes of these top level nodes. So these child nodes will actually come from WCF RIA services. So if I mouse over task categories, you can see that the children is a list of task category objects. And under projects, it's an entity set of project objects, contexts, an entity set of context objects, and contacts, an entity set of contact objects. So we've got a mixture of nodes that are created and a mixture of nodes that come from the database. And we've got also one special node that we create up at the top here. It's a new task category node, and that's our all categories node. So now let's go back to the tree view, and we'll see here where we have set the item template selector property to a static resource called TreeView Data Template Selector. And that is defined right up here in our user control resources. So this is an instance of this class, TreeView Node Data Template Selector. So now let's take a look at this class. Now what will happen is, as the RAD tree view is building its list of RAD tree view items or nodes, it's going to call this select template method for each node that's created. And what we're going to do here is we're going to examine each node, and we're going to determine which type of object each node is, and depending on which type of object it is, we're going to assign a different data template to it. So let's look at where the data templates are defined. So if I go into this class called Data Template Provider, you'll see here that I've got a template for all of the RAD tree's parent nodes here. It's called Parent Node Template. And that is going to bind to the image property and the name property. So if we go back to our data here, you can see here the name and the image. So that's where that's going to get that information from. Now for the other nodes, all of the child nodes, you'll see here that we're bound to the name property, but as far as the image goes, we're actually hard-coding a path to an image. So here is the template for the all categories node. This is the template for the inbox node, and so forth. We've got nodes down here for our project nodes, and our context nodes, and our contact nodes, and so forth. So how does this all work? Let's start by setting a breakpoint here in our select template method, and we'll run in debug mode. Once again, we'll click into our task page, and we'll see here the first time we come in, we've got an object that comes in called item, and we can see that it's a categories tree view node. So we hit F11, we can see that it's going to go off to our template provider and say we want to use the parent node template. Let me just go to definition on that, and you'll see here that this is a property I've exposed in my data template provider that just returns the template called parent node template. So it's going to return this one right here. Now let's go back to our template selector and we'll run again. The next time we come in here, we'll see that the item is all categories, so that's our next node. We'll hit F11. It's going to determine that this is a task category, and then it's going to look at the item's ID. And we can see right here that the ID is 0. So if I continue to F11, it's going to go into the case 0 statement, and it's going to return the task category all template. And if we go one more time, and we F11, we'll see that once again we have a task category node, its inbox, and its ID is 1. If I continue to F11, it's going to return the template for task category inbox template. So data templates are used to determine how data is going to be represented visually in the user interface. So in the case of the Taskit application, from one node to the next, the only thing that really changes is the icon. But you could actually have data templates that have entirely different looks from one node to the other. So it's as customizable as you'd like it to be.